to join me in this edition of African Morning Breakfast Show are great women personalities in the Republic of South Sudan. And here I'm joined by Ahuma Konsi Diana, the project coordinator of Women Relief Aid, and not forgetting Abeja Sarah, the executive director of Women for Peace Center in the Republic of South Sudan. And not forgetting, shortly also I'll be joined by Aite Mariam Susan, a young women representative in the Republic of South Sudan. And we're going to talk more about the role of young women in peace building in the Republic of South Sudan. Up to this far, let me say it, Aite, Ahoma, and Abeje. Good morning and welcome to African Morning Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
It is our tradition in Africa and in South Sudan. When you wake up in the morning, you have to give a greeting to your sibling, even your kid at home, your workmate. So let me start with Auma. Then you can pass your greeting to your workmate, your friends, people outside there before we go to our discussion.
Good morning, South Sudan. Good morning, women in the struggle for peace in South Sudan. And good morning, my dear fellow young women in the struggle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Abeja?
Oh, thank you. Good morning. I first want to say good morning to the Women International Peace Center team, both here in South Sudan and other programs in other countries. And I would also like to say good morning to the women in the struggle. Now we have the roadmap on the completion of the pending tasks in the peace agreement. Let's work hard. Let's continue working hard. Let's not tire. Good morning to those people at home who are watching. Good morning to all South Sudanese who love peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And once again, welcome to SABC, and looking forward to hear more from you on this topic of discussion on the role of young women in peace building. And I want to start with Ahuma Diana. Tell us more about what I've not said about yourself and how you understand peace and what is your role in your peace building as a young woman.
Maybe about myself, as you have said, Kola Umakonsidana, working with Women Relief Aid. As a young woman who is also in the team to struggle for peace in our country and being so patriotic about my country, South Sudan. So as to me, according to what you have asked, what I understand about peace building, to me, peace building, it's like planning to do away with some of the causes of conflicts in our community and trying to bring the conflicting parties to come to an agreement, and also making ways to avoid future cases of violence.
Thank you so much. I'll come back to you. Abeja Sarah, tell us what we have not known about you in just 30 seconds, and also your understanding of peace and where young women are needed in peace building.
Oh, thank you. First of all, as a women leader, I was nominated to represent the women in the board of Citizen, and I sit there representing the women groups. What I think of peace, in our perspective as women, we look at peace as resolving conflict and in a non-violent way. First of all, we want to resolve conflict in a non-violent way to ensure that enabling environment for development for all of us to enjoy our country is ensured. So peace building is basically looking at modalities on how conflict doesn't exist in a negative way. Of course, conflict always exists, but in a not a negative way, but in a way that is constructive. So to us, we look into the issues of embracing ethnic diversity, looking at the issues of nationhood. We look at inclusion, especially for us young women. We tend to be excluded in some of the governance structures. So we look at that. We look at the issues of sexual and gender-based violence. And peace building, we also look at acceptance. Yeah. So
Okay.
those are the issues that we look at when we talk about peace building.
Yes,
Yeah.
Abeja, to continue from what you just stated, looking at you as young women, for the other South Sudanese, when we are saying we are talking about the role of young women in peace building, which kind of women, what category of women are we talking about here?
To be honest, we don't have specific categories when it comes to peace building, because peace is for all of us. Whether you are in a higher level or you are in a lower level, we all partake of peace. So looking at the higher level, we have the educated, we also have the politically oriented, we also have women who do peace building at their lower level, at the grassroots, to ensure that we coexist. Because coexistence is very key in peace building. So when you look at peace building, it's in all categories. We can have our local level peace building, whereby, for instance, if we are going to have a borehole, should we put a borehole in a place where the other community cannot access to avoid conflict? We should be putting it to a neutral ground. If you look at issues of grazing, for instance, should we have grazing land near crops? So this is how we try to avoid conflict through peace building at the local level.
Okay.
Even at the family level, we have issues to do with the conflict. You may find Sidibet will just go and enjoy some nice pork and then give us at home, not even beans, give us greens. So
Yeah.
that is already a source of conflict. So we need to have peace at home through accepting that, okay, Mr. Big Man, as you are going to enjoy pork, even us at home, we should be eating kumunia. So those are simple ways of peace building, just at the family level.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Let me come to Aoma. What can you add from what Abeja has just stated, and also as a young woman, how do you want people to know about peace, the concept of peace building?
Okay. As for me, as a young woman in the struggle, as my seniors put it, there's so many ways and concepts that surrounds the aspect of peace building. As young women in the struggle, we have to make our community be aware of the struggle we are making in attainment for peace. So some of the ways that we can make the people in our community, the people in the Republic of South Sudan, right from the family level, as she has said, coming to community, coming at state level, coming at national level. There are so many things we have to do as young people. One of them is advocacy, planning, like to talk about something that is really affecting us as women in particular in the conflict-related environment. So when we talk about some of these key things that are really affecting us as women during the war or in a conflict when it arises in our community or in the family, we need to send out our voices. We need to draw the attention of the community. I might be going through a trauma-related activity, maybe in my community. If I just keep quiet, maybe as a woman, because I'm a woman, I just need to keep quiet. That means I'm not showing to the world. I'm not making the world aware that me, myself, as a woman, I need peace. Or my women or my fellow mothers in the community needs the peace. So advocacy is one way that we can send out signals to the world as young people or as women in the struggle, so that we come into an harmony or understanding with other groups.
Okay. Aoma, what have you done as a young person? You said you're a young woman in struggle. What have you done so far in your struggle to making sure that other women who are still also trying to use the same land that you're using to struggle, also for them to struggle and make your voice heard? What have you done so far as a young woman in struggle?
Okay, particular for me, I have participated in so many activities. One of them, among the many, community dialogues, where we bring the women at grassroots. Because sometimes we may tend that the people to struggle for peace are only maybe the people at national level, not knowing that peace starts even at grassroots level. To me, in particular, going back to my origin or where my people are is very key. So community dialogues at grassroots level is one of my priority that I have participated in. There was a debate that came in. I was there with the women about the 35% inclusion. So we posted that question to them. Are you satisfied with the 35% inclusion? So different groups of women had to come in. Others were saying we need 40. Why are you saying we need the 40? Some were saying it is not easy maybe to ask for a bigger portion since it's just 35, so we go gradually. Others were shooting that we need up to 70% representation. Why are you saying the 70% you need to defend? Others were saying we are okay with the 35. Why are you saying you're okay?
So where were
So
you
it
among
was,
the people?
yeah, I
Where
was
were
there.
you?
So it was.
Were you for 30, for 40, or 70?
Okay, to me, I had to first of all go with the 40 because I was challenging the 70. They have given us the 35, and you want now a double addition, of which even the 35% we have not yet attained fully. So we go step by step. You don't have to cut a code that does not fit you.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me come to Abeja. Abeja, let's listen from your side. What do you want to be done to making sure that the inclusion of young women in participation in peace building in the country, not only taking your side as a woman, and you said you go and make your own forum and all this, but bringing it all, women and men, together and talk about peace? What do you think should be done?
As I said earlier, the issue of the concept of peace building is addressing injustices. So the injustices don't only happen to young women or elder women or men alone. The injustices that we see in our communities happen to all. So coming on board, the issue of peace building should be considered as, first of all, priority. Priority in such a way that we want to embrace ourselves. We want to have that spirit of nationhood, which comes with civic responsibility. You cannot demand from the government and you're not paying taxes. You cannot say we want peace and you're the one moving with a gun to go and get your neighbor's cattle. You cannot say, oh, the government is not giving us peace, yet yourself you are not peaceful. You are fighting in the streets. So, for me, the issue of peace building is a concern for all of us South Sudanese. Now, when it comes to young women, it brings in the aspect of exclusion. Because we've had instances where young women have raised their voices. They say, okay, when we talk about youth, they consider the male young men. When we talk about women, they talk about our elderly mothers. For us, as the young women and also happen to be youth, we are left in the balance. So where do we come in? So we begin to lobby and advocate for inclusion to ensure that as an excluded constituency, our voices need to be heard, because when issues of violence happen, young women are the ones who face the brunt of violence. We've had cases where young women have been raped. We have had cases where young women had to drop out of school because now they had to come and take care of their siblings. We have had cases of young women covering up for the parents who go out there looking for what we eat in the time of conflict, and then their childhood is cut short. So we look into what are the injustices that are specifically directed towards young women. That's when we bring in the issue of inclusion. We really lobby for inclusion of the women voices. But even then, our cultures, you find that as a young woman, you want to speak, they say, no, 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 you're still, you are yet to experience the real life. So at the end, you find that young women voices are excluded. Yet they could really produce a lot of guidance to the society. So why we are talking specifically on the issues of young women is on the issue of inclusion and exclusion. So we really lobby for inclusion of young people, because of late we've seen how young people are storming the world. This is our Women Month, by the way. The Women International Day, we recognize it in March, and we call March the Women Month. And the theme for this year has been issues of technology and digitalization. You've seen how the young women have stormed the world. So for us elder women, we have to begin accepting the new trends that we go in, not only in the technological world, but also how do we use this technology to ensure that it reduces conflict?
Yeah.
How do we use this technology to ensure that women are embraced? Because we've also seen violence in the digital world, cyber crimes, security, cyber security, threats, hate speech. So how do we bring in this young blood who is digitally very good into the peace building arena?
Thank you so much, Abeja.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. I know we have a lot to talk about, but dear viewer, thank you so much for following African Morning Breakfast Show, coming to you live right here on SABC. We are talking about the role of young women in peace building in the Republic of South Sudan. And right here in the studio, Abeja and Diana, they're helping us to understand more about what are the role for the young women of the Republic of South Sudan in peace building. Let's have a break and find out also some women who spoke to the media about what the things and the challenges they're facing in the community in regard to their right and the role of young women in peace building. We'll be right back shortly.
Especially now, like in Korea, most of responsibility in the home is at the hand of women. If you take like the responsibility of children are in the hand of women, most men has left because of the war. Most of them died. Some are left widow. It is them who take the responsibility of their own children. If you find almost 3/4 of women in Korea are widows, and they are the only people taking their responsibility. We need at least, we should raise from 35% at least to 50%, because all of us are educated like men. We have the same mind. We have the same image which is created by God. So we have all the same everything. We cannot be differentiated from men.
We are having a training of 50 young women peace mediators to strengthen their effort and their participation in both local and national peace efforts, as we are all aware that all the nation, all the people in South Sudan are crying for peace. And the reason as to why we have chosen women in particular under this project of strengthening young women's participation in both local and national peace efforts is because women feel much greater pain when they are affected with war and the various sufferings that women face. We have a case in example, sexual harassment, we have gender-based violence, we have more of other things that women do face. So we feel women feel the pain more than any other person, because the women are the ones who are always there for their husbands, for their children, and for other people in the community. That's why we want to build their capacity through this 2 days training so that they become community peace mediators, community peace ambassadors, and community advocates.
Women are facing the issue of rape in the community mostly. You find a man is raping a woman in the house, and yet that woman is his wife. Rather to ask the woman in a good manner such that they can
solve the issue or what he wants to have from a woman, but you find that a woman is being forced, especially in the sake when a woman is not having interest in it. So for my sake, I can advise men especially that each person is having right to accept or to refuse. Once someone has refused, it should not be forced. So I advise men to avoid raping their own wives.
Persina conflict solution mushkila bibada ke vota bisala ope. Kan kalam bada fi bed daiman it asukere ya fi bed dadi gi continue gura jib fi tribal issues. Kan tama faim kalam de bada ke weta ma ogi fi sala o kalam de biraba. Lakin kanta asma kalam de tasala o tan hilu mushkila de o ma biraba ke di. San kanta hilu mushkila de ma biraba. Lakin kanta asma be na galat ita wori le nastanin nasdak bi asma kalam de bigena misinterpreted le nastanin bara bi jibo mashakil bein gebila ma gebila au belet ma belet bishakila de au kirina arfu kwez gal kan fi mushkila bada kirina faim kwez root cause ta kalam de sunu kirita hilo mushkila dag de kwez kan ita zoral jibo kalam de le ita kirita wogi finusa nazita ma bi difa safatani ita wogi finusa naksan faim unasde kedeja reconcile.
Welcome back, dear viewer. Thank you so much for following African Morning Breakfast Show right here on SABC. We're talking about the role of young women in peace building in the Republic of South Sudan. And my guests are Ahuma Konsi Diana, the project coordinator of Women Relief and Aid, and not forgetting Abeja Sarah, the executive director of Women International for Peace Center. And shortly, I'll be joined also by Mariam Susan, a young women representative in the Republic of South Sudan. And to Abeja and Diana, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, as we're talking about the role of young women in peace building, we understand that the revitalized peace agreement has been extended for another 24 months. That is a roadmap. And we believe that we have been talking about the 35 affirmative action and all this. This time around, in the next 24 months, what role do you want young women of South Sudan to play, and how do you want them to be considered in the roadmap? Let me start with Abeja.
Thank you. Actually, we've been hearing that fancy word, the roadmap, but a roadmap is nothing new apart from the 24 months extension of the implementation of the revitalized agreement on the resolution of conflict in South Sudan. And these are the pending tasks that have not been completed, and they were very key to transitioning from the transitional government to the democratic government. So we have key tasks to be accomplished. One of them is the permanent constitution. We need to have it in place. The other key issue that needs to be done is the establishment of the political parties council. Of course, you cannot have a democratic governance without political parties that will participate. We're also looking at the issues of election. An election in itself has different levels of things that need to be done. We need to have voter registration. We need even to sensitize our people on their civic responsibility to in election, to cast their votes and all that, but also to stand, to contest. Maybe like if I'm interested to be one of the MPs, I really have to understand my responsibility and what happens, what I need to do, what are the requirements. So all this information needs to go out there for the women if they're going to sustain the 35% provision in the agreement. But before that as well, there is need to have a conducive environment for election to take place. So this means that for us to have a conducive environment, we need to have a permanent constitution, a constitution that the democratic government will come
So what will be your role here as young women?
So, as I'm just giving this as a background. So, as young women, we first have to be very much involved in all these processes, constitution making. We have to be involved. We have to look at the gender analysis of the transitional constitution, 2011 as amended, and then put in our inputs. We have to be part of the election process, create awareness. We have to be to join the political parties if you have to be elected into the offices. So we need to create awareness of all these processes. As young women, we need to go out there, let our colleagues know that we have opportunity to be part of the democratic government, and through these processes, we need to join the political parties. We need to understand what the Election Act is all about, what are the needs for us to be in all these processes. So for now, we really need as young women to put ourselves in those spaces. We have to ensure that we don't miss out, even in the constitution making process, in all these processes.
Thank you so much, Beja. Diana, what can you say about you as young women, how you want to be involved in this peace agreement when coming to how she did mention more about how young women need to be involved in the peace, but from your own perspective, how do you want your young women to be involved?
Okay, to me, as she has made mention, the things that the young people, or in particular the young women, needs to do so that they be part of this implementation of the roadmap of implementing the RARCSS. So one of them is about negotiating for young women to be represented. To me, even being in all the political parties, at least the political parties that are going to be officially registered with the electoral body, young women need to be at least in all the committees so that they monitor which party maybe is like going against the affirmative action, or which party maybe is not recognizing the power of young people in the electoral processes. And also, if you see also in the process of compiling the voters register, young people need to come in, because sometimes things might happen in one way or the other, and you find some of these women may not be captured. So these young people, these women in the rural communities need to be sensitized, talked to, so that they know to be part of the electoral process. One, you must register as a citizen of the country, and your name is reflected in the voters register, because they are just there. They may think election will come and it just goes, not knowing the processes that needs to be done, so that at the end of the day you cast your vote is your voice.
Thank you so much, Ahuma Konsi Dihana and Abeja Sarah. And everyone, thank you for following this show. Let's have a break shortly, and after this break, I will be joined by Ahite Mariam Susan. She's one of the young women representatives in South Sudan. She will also come and talk about the role of young women in peace building, and also what are the challenges young women are facing in the country. Let's have a break. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back, dear viewer. Thank you so much. You're still following African Morning Breakfast Show right here on SABC. And as we just went for break, I stated that I will be joined by Aita Mariam Susan, one of the young women representative in the country, and she will also talk to us more about the role of young women in peace building, and still having Abeja Sarah in the show. Welcome back, and Mariam, good morning. Welcome to African Morning Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
Tell us about your feeling about being a woman, and what do you feel like as a young woman you should contribute into peace building?
Thank you very much. As a young woman, I really feel happy to be in this position because I love being a woman. I thank God that I am a woman, and I love seeing young women peacefully and living a happy life in their families or wherever they go to work. And even when they take them out to the field, they come back and give a report that they have lived a happy life. So all I love to see from women is peace in their faces, read peace from their faces in what they do and in the result that they produce. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now let's learn from you. Uh, we have been talking with Abeja and Dihana more about the role of young women in peace building. You personally, what have you done so far to contribute into peace building in the community that you live in?
Thank you so much. As a young woman who also love to see that other young women are happy, I have been doing a role of going into various places like schools where we go and advocate for peace and the rights of a woman, because when the right of a woman is promoted, and then peace can be in that community. We have had in schools where we see from leadership, we find that usually we have a head prefect, and the school designs that a head prefect must be a boy. So we went down and we learned that a young girl in the school can do that role, the roles that a boy can do, even much better. So after some dialogue with some community leaders, with the school like administration, we have found that even in schools today, there are women who are represented, let me say young girls, are given the opportunity to contest as head prefects, and their leadership has been really recommendable, and very many schools have appreciated what the girls are doing. Not only that, I've also gone to communities where I meet a group of women in the marketplaces when they are just selling and doing other things, where they talk about how their families are, where there is no peace, because everyone finds that in the family, a man has to determine the peace of how things are to be done in the family. So you find it's a father who is supposed to decide what to eat and what a woman must do. So the role of the woman is just to sit, and the father goes and brings food for her. If he brings good, he doesn't bring no complaint. So we've always talked to such women and we tell them you have a role to play. So if you want really that peace within yourself, because peace begins within ourselves. So as a young woman, you have to have that peace within yourself. Do what is right and do what benefits you as a young woman and the family at large.
Okay.
So we have advocated for peace, and we have acted as peacemakers by ourselves. So we make peace within ourselves, and we advise the young women in the community to be peacemakers, so that when they are peaceful among themselves, people will see the peace they have, and when they speak, they will understand and really practice it. Not only that, we have also other things like mediation. You find the two women or people in the family are conflicting or in the community, we bring them together. We solve, we find out, hear from this side and I hear from the other side, and see where the problem is. Then put these women together and tell them where they went wrong and how they can come to understanding. And finally, we see them going smiling. So that is the role that I have been playing as a young woman, of which I still wish to do more than that, to ensure that peace goes up to the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're indeed a young women representative, and you can talk more than a man. So thank you so much. And let me come to Abeja Sarah. Abeja, let's hear from you. She did just mention about the conflict mitigation, how conflict is being solved. And as part of peace building, because if there is a conflict, there is need for mitigation. So do you say it here young women are good in mediating conflict and coming out with good resolution of peace, that the society, a country, communities like communities of South Sudan, if all the role is given to women, then country can be peaceful?
Oh, thank you. I know for sure that as women, we are very instrumental in peace building, right from the community up to the higher levels. Because most often our interests, we look into the interests of everyone in the society, the children, the husband, the youth. So basically, having women in peace building is very key, because we look into the interests of everybody. We don't have these egos of like, and who is that, and all that. What we look at is we look at the best for all of us. So for me, I still believe that having women in peace building is key. The other issues that the injustices that happen that lead into violence, most often as women, we see it coming, but at the lower level, and if you try to bring the issues up, they're like, you women, you are cowards, you are all that. Yet, it's not about cowardice. It's about avoiding the impact. It's avoiding the impact of what will happen, the single act of, for instance, killing one person from this community, and then the other community revenging, and then displacing everyone else who was not part of the initial issue. Sometimes it's just the interests, political interests, governance interests may just emanate from a few individuals, but affecting the whole community. Just look at what happened in our country. I still believe that what we are going through is not the wish for everyone in the country, but we all found ourselves here. We are all nursing what is happening. It's not that all of us wanted what happened, but it is just from a higher level. So bringing in women into the peace processes makes the peace sustainable, makes the peace sustainable in such a way that they will always be talking to their sons, their husband, their brothers on the impact of violence once it erupts. So I still think that it's very important. The reason we, as the Women International Peace Center, we focus on capacity enhancement for the women to be able to be in peace building processes, in those negotiation tables, in those mediation, even as the grassroots. We look at availing information for women, because you cannot reason on things that you don't understand. But the more you give information to the women, they're able to reason and look at both sides and say, hey, my brother, hey, my husband, hey, my son, this is the situation on the ground. So let's do this way, the other way. The other issue that we look at is the issues of holistic well-being. As women, sometimes we put too much into ensuring that everyone else lives a peaceful life, and we forget ourselves. And the fact that we forget ourselves, we get traumatized, we get stressed, we get sicknesses that come with like pressure and all that. So we also look into the issues of holistic well-being, not only looking at the interests of others, but also interests of ourselves as women.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Abeja. And Mariam, before we wind up this discussion, I want us to a little bit touch on some challenges that you as young women have faced in carrying out your activities. So what can you say now as part of the challenges that you have encountered, and how did you address them?
Thank you. The challenges are very many as far as our activities are concerned. One of it has been the issue of tribalism. We found that there are some tribes that have naturally hated themselves. So when you come, you find they're in conflict, you try to bring in peace. Somebody says, from the bottom of my heart, I cannot forgive such a person because he's from this tribe. So that had been really hindering our activities and has made it a little hard, though they are trying to understand as we continue pressing on it. Then the next thing is the poor infrastructure. You find there is a conflict somewhere where we know women are really in problem. We want reach, but the nature of the roads may not really permit. So it finds by the time you reach that place, life is gone or something wrong must have happened. So it has really made our work very hard.
And then we also have inadequate funding. There are moments we want to go out and advocate for women, for the peace, for women's rights in the community, or want to go and educate the women about peace building, the benefit of peace. But we are not having that fund to facilitate our transport, or when we go there, we're supposed to gather these women together, and at least as they take some time, they have to take some drinking water, but that money is not there. So we find it very hard. That's why some of the women have gone ahead sacrificing money from their own, or even walking to those various places, and putting also the life of the women at risk. And then the other thing is the issue of culture. Culture it really has great impact on the peace building as far as our women are concerned, because there are some cultures that believe truly in beating, in torturing women. You find that you are advocating for peace. This man is beating this woman and says, this is the only sign that shows that I love my wife. I must beat her to show that I love her. So if I don't beat her, it means I don't love her. What kind of love is that, that you're inflicting pain into somebody? And even at the end of the day, someone may even die as a result of that beating. So we have fun, and the worst thing is that because the culture has covered the eyes of our women, they even accept it. They say, yes, my husband loves me. The person you're fighting for her life is comfortable with the beating. So it really makes our activities very, very difficult. So that has been really challenging. So those are some of the challenges that we had. And then the other thing is the issue of religion. Sometimes some of our religions do not allow like us to come, women to come together with men and discuss issues together. You find that when men come together, they are discussing issues of peace. Women are not supposed to be there because they don't have to sit on the same round table with the men. They are to be kept maybe in the kitchen or doing other things. And what these men come up with is final. The woman has no power over it. So we find that our religion sometimes also affect, because when we are allowed to come and sit together, when a man says something, a woman may say, no, I think this one will bring peace which will last for a day or two. I think this idea would work better. Because women, when they come up with a decision, with an idea, they first look back. They think of the life they went in the war, how painful it has been. So they come up with a comprehensive solution that will bring about a sustainable peace, not only for 1 day or 2 days, but our men, for them, they see like, I think this one can work very fast, though for 2 or 3 days, I think it can work. But women think deeper.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't want to ask you a lot of things because you're smiling too at me and say it our med. Anyway, thank you so much for everything. And before we wind up this discussion, let me come to you, Abeja, and let's find out from you. What country do you as young women want to see, like South Sudan, in the next 1 year, in the next 24 months of the extended peace agreement, the roadmap? After that, what kind of a country in a peaceful way that you as young women of South Sudan want to see? I want you to react maybe in 2 minutes, come back to her, then we end the discussion.
Thank you so much. For me, I really have a wild dream. I have a wild dream of a country where we pass governance through democratic processes. That is my dream. My dream in this country is to see that patriarchy is not put as a way of putting down women. We are looking at women, peace and security, and normally say it's a men domain. But when it comes to suffering, we all suffer together. If it is displacement, we all get displaced. If lack of food is the same. And yet when discussions come, it say that peace and security is a main domain. So it's the issue of patriarchy. For me, my dream is a country whereby we, 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 we embrace ethnic diversity. We are so diverse in such a way that we have so nice things to share about. We have so nice cultures to share about. The challenge is we are looking at only the negative part. We don't want to embrace the good part of ethnic diversity. So my dream is a country where we embrace ethnic diversity. And finally, I'm looking at a country where we have civic space very open. I can come out and say, okay, as Sarah, tomorrow I want to plan to contest as the president of this country, and nobody should come and say, who are you and where are you coming from as a woman and all that. So that is my dream, and that is my dream. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Diana, what country do you want to see as a young woman?
Thank you so much. I really love to see a country where I sleep peacefully without hearing any gunshot. And I don't really feel, in the night I feel I'm in heaven. I sleep without getting any, because sometimes when we sleep, you're inside but the ears are out. So you don't really sleep peacefully. So we are praying. My prayer is that one day, one time, we have a country that speaks peace and practices peace. And peace is not only on a piece of paper, but a country with the peace that is on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And finally, this is always my last question for African Morning Breakfast Show. What do you think will make Africa and South Sudan great from you?
I think what will make Africa and South Sudan and Africa in large great is that representation of every human being should be equal, not the other one imbalanced and the other is greater. So it should be equal representation, and equality must be to all, whether young or old, small or great, must be represented equally, and that will bring everlasting peace even in this country or in the whole of Africa at large.
Thank you so much, Abeja.
To me, what will make South Sudan great and Africa in general is believing in ourselves. Let us believe in ourselves that we can do it. Anything that is happening out there, we've traveled the road, we've seen nice roads in other states, in other countries, we've seen nice things, we have seen a lot of factories and everything, development in the technology. We can do it. And we can only do it if we believe in ourselves. Not because Sarah today has some good dollars, I go and build a house in East Africa. Today I have this, I go and do it somewhere. We can do it here in South Sudan, and we have everything to do it. Let's give ourselves a chance, a peaceful environment, we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much, Diana. And thank you so much, Auma Diana, and Beja Sarah, and Haite Mariam Susan for coming to SLBC African Morning Breakfast Show. It has been my pleasure hosting you right here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And dear viewer, thank you so much for following African Morning Breakfast Show right here on SBC. In this edition, we have been talking about the role of young women in the Republic of South Sudan in peace building. And it has been my pleasure having Ahuma Konsi Dihana, the project coordinator of Women Relief Aid, and Abeja Sarah, executive director of Women International Peace Center, and not forgetting Aite Mariam Susan, young women representative in the Republic of South Sudan. In this edition, it has been more colorful, and I believe I become even like a young woman also because I'm a young man. Thank you so much for following African Morning Breakfast Show. Keep watching SSBC, and remember to follow SSBC TV, YouTube, Facebook page, and other social media platform. For me and my colleague in the technical team, we say thank you so much for your company, and do have a lovely time.